Good morning, cruises. Okay, so quick story. This goes back to fall, fall of 1999. I went up to New York City to go visit Jen. Jen was playing in the pit, various shows in the city. I think she was doing, what was it, like there was an all male ballet, there was an all male Swan Lake, and she was playing in the pit in New York City. And I went up to visit her, and we were talking about what we might do if I was going to go see the show that night. At the time, I wasn't really into that ballet and ballet in general. And so, thinking about doing some other things, she was like, well, we can always go down to TKTS and see if there's anything playing. Well, right around that time, walking down the street, and Ali Sheedy walks past. And I turn and I go, hey, I think that was Ali Sheedy. And Jen says, oh, cool. Who's Ali Sheedy? So after I explained, Brat Pack and everything, she was like, oh, okay, I don't know who that is. So, whatever. Later on that day, I'm standing in line at TKTS, and Ali Sheedy is performing in some show that I've never heard of, off Broadway, little tiny production down by the on the west side, in an old hotel. It's called Hedwig and the Angry Inch. I've never heard of the show. I don't know anything about the show. All I know is I saw Ali Sheedy on the street and she's starring in it. I should go see it. So I went to see it, and I absolutely fell in love with the show. Turns out, having read about it now, her starring in it was weird. It's always played by men. Yeah, it's a great show, but hers was not particularly thought of as the greatest version of that show. But I didn't know that. I just fell in love with the show and the music and the songs and thought it was amazing. Plus, it was this little tiny off Broadway production in 1999. Of course, years later, it became a movie and it got a Broadway revival with Neil Patrick Harris. Anyway, the reason this story is just last week I got to see John Cameron Mitchell actually perform songs from Hedwig at the National Theater in DC. John Cameron Mitchell is the originator, co-writer of Hedwig and the Angry Inch. So, years, like 20 years after I first saw the show, well, not quite 19 and a half, but whatever. 20 years after I first saw the show, I got to see the guy who originated the show, the lead role in the show, and I thought that was kind of cool. All right,